Jiu-Jitsu. It's Will Bellman. This is my 227th weekly update. Check out my new Shell Strength shirt. My girlfriend bought it for me. It's almost like she knows me. Because if you didn't know, Brian Shaw is my favorite, probably strongman ever. Let's see. For starters, he's American. Secondly, he's a great ambassador for the sport. Third, he's strong as fuck. He has tons of world records. I don't need to justify myself to you. But if you're planning on getting one of these shirts or thinking about it, I highly recommend it. I like the way they're cut. I think my only negative comment would be is that they're 50% cotton and 50% something synthetic, which for some strongman events, that can kind of be a detractor. Like for a log, it might be kind of challenging. I guess this part, because it's a little sticky, the graphic, that might be kind of helpful, but the rest of it's a little slick. You know, I wouldn't want to use this on yoke. It's a little too, synthetic fibers tend to be a little too slick for yoke. And a lot of strongman events, I usually just recommend plain cotton tees for that stuff. We'll get straight into the week, however. This week was pretty good. It was a deload week. I actually didn't, I'm not going to say I didn't deload. Sorry, I'm moving something. I'm almost falling over here. I'm not going to say I didn't deload. I'm going to just tilt the camera just a touch. That's too much. That's better. I'm not going to say I didn't deload, but I didn't deload exactly how I should have on everything, especially on squats and deadlifts. I should have done 5 singles with the same weight and just kept it nice and easy on every single rep. Instead, I ended up kind of pyramiding up to, just doing single, while still keeping the weight light. It was nothing I couldn't handle. And I did want to push myself just a little bit because I was tired of not hitting 315. And honestly, when I, on squats specifically, when I was training on Monday, I was squatting and I hit 295, and honestly, it felt easy. And then I said, all right, let me do, 305 and see what that feels like. And it was relatively easy. And I said, all right, let me do 315. And I did that for like 2 reps basically. And I really should have just done, if I was going to do 315, I should have done that for 5. That's how I did my deload the last deload I did. And that's probably how I should have done it, but that's not how I did do it this week. On press, it actually worked out exactly the same. The numbers were just different. So I started out with doing 5 sets of 5 with 135, and on my deload, I ended up doing 135 for 5 singles. Well, this week, or this deload session, I ended up doing my 5x5 was with 150. And then my deload was actually just 5 singles at 150. And they felt good, they felt strong, they felt not bad at all. I actually ended up doing 6 because I forgot. I was just going through them so quick. I was like, oh, hey, I needed to film one of these. Somebody do me a solid, film this. I'll just do another one, whatever. I mean, I was even able to do them beltless. It was so much easier for me. And I felt strong through the whole thing. It was great. My pressing has been going great. And then deadlifts tonight, I, didn't do what I should have done. I should have just stayed at probably 350 or 365 again and just pulled those just singles over and over, just keeping it perfect. Because when I pulled my 365, it was perfect. And I actually pulled it twice because it was perfect the first time. And I basically said, you know what, at 315 stuff started feeling heavy. So let me just do 315, 335, 2 at 365, and then I'll do, 1 at 370 and 1 at 375, So I know I got my 5 reps in there somewhere, but it's nothing too crazy. And when I got to the 370, it was still pretty perfect rep. Everything felt good. I was told it looked good. And then I ended up filming the 375, and I saw that I rounded ever so slightly, and it really shouldn't have happened. It's a mistake I made, and I really shouldn't be doing that. I should be staying as tight as possible or keeping in with weights that are allowing me to stay tight as possible, especially on a single. There's no reason to rush this, especially on a deadlift. I didn't injure myself at all. I didn't even feel anything. I still felt strong through the whole motion. So I'm not concerned in that regard, but I think I may sort of put my pride to the side just a little bit over the next coming weeks and just be brutally honest with myself on, what weights I can and cannot handle. I've got a week of 4x4, and then a week of 3x3, and then another deload, and I can reevaluate from there. I don't need to be rushing this. The things are going to come when they come. Now, in terms of squats, I wouldn't be surprised if on my 3x3, or my 4x4 week, I'm doing, 300 or 305. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I may even push myself to 315. We'll see. Because the single wasn't that hard, and I honestly felt like if I did one or two more after that, it would have felt better. But we're going to have to play that by ear, and we're going to have to see how that goes. Press, I mean, my 4x4 is probably going to be at least 155, which is very exciting. That puts me on track to have a single PR of a very strict press with really good range of motion. If you're watching my 2 videos, you'll see my range of motion on my press has gotten a lot better. I used to be the guy here. Now I'm, if that bar doesn't touch my clavicle, I'm not counting it. It needs to start there, it needs to stop fully, and then I'll reinitiate the press from there. And I think that's what's honestly both increasing my overall strength, because a longer range of motion is always going to mean more strength, especially on something like press, though, just a barbell press. If my barbell press is 170, that's going to put my log higher, because the log starts up here, And it's the same thing. If I start my press here, sitting out here higher up, I just saved, 2 to 4 inches of space that I had to then push through. So that's where I'm at with press right now, and it's exciting because, if I do the 4x4 with 155, the 3x3 will be 160, 2x2 will be 165, and then when I go for my single, it'll be 170. That's what I'll go for. As a new that'll be a lifetime PR. Every press I do from here on out, assuming it goes up, is a lifetime PR. My 5x5 at 150, 100% lifetime PR. Super excited about that. Well, that wasn't 5x5. I apologize. The final set was was for 5, which is still a lifetime PR. The same thing with the squats, though. Like I was talking about, the 4x4. It's not going to be 4 sets of 4 with 315. It'll probably be more like a set of 4 with 305. We'll see how that goes, and then a set of 4 with 315, which would be very exciting because that would put me just about back to where I was. If I can do a set of 4 with 315, that'll put me back to where I was with squats. And on deadlifts, honestly, my set of 4, my heavy set of 4 would have to be somewhere around 365. I'll have to play it by ear, but if I do 365, that'll put me right around where I was. Put me at least on track. And that's what I've always said at the end of this 10 weeks. I would just like to be back to where I was before my injury. Speaking of, it has flared up ever so slightly. It was after my set of 5 from 2 weeks ago. It flared up a little bit. It's still kind of flared up, but it's a muscular pain. It doesn't feel like a spinal injury. So I didn't break my back. It's not spinal. I'm doing okay. And I'll continue to treat it how it needs to be treated and hopefully correct it before it becomes an issue again. My 315 was without pain, but my general walking around practices, I do feel a little bit of pain. So we're going to play this by ear. I'm going to do what I can to fix it. Be sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you can catch the reviews coming out. You may not like it, but this is the way I'm doing it. The first Sunday of every month, starting in January, there will be a review video that I'm dropping. I believe the first one is the knee sleeves from Elite FTS. I believe the second one, which will be on February 3rd, as I recall. I'm sorry, March 3rd or 4th or something like that. That one's going to be the Elite FTS deadlift belt that I use. They call it an old school belt. It's the 3-inch belt that I use for deadlifting. And then the third one that I have done and uploaded now, that one was such a bitch to upload. It just kept failing processing. It failed processing 4 times. I ended up opening up the file again and just re-rendering it because something was wrong, clearly. I don't know what. I didn't do anything different, but I guess that's just how that shit goes sometimes. But I re-rendered it and finally got it to upload correctly after the 4th time. And that will be the Adder belt, which is the $40 belt from Amazon. The Adder belt. And I mentioned it in the caption, or what do you call that? The description of each one of those videos, that there's some stuff I realized I missed after when I was going through the editing. I didn't mention X or Y or Z. I put them in the description of those videos. But I encourage everybody, if and when you watch those videos, to let me know what else you missed or any other questions you might have. I'm just one guy. I can't think of every single problem or every single good thing that came out of a product. So you're going to have to ask me questions if I missed something. And honestly, don't hold me to that high of a standard, because there's always something I'm going to forget or just not even think about. I always have my black swan, that comes up. All that being said, tomorrow I am going to be at a seminar hosted by Mike Della Pava, who runs the Battle Axe Gym down in Miami, and also puts on Miami's Baddest Man, which is basically one of 3 competitions that I say are worth your time as either a competitor or I don't know what you call it, a viewer. Only 3 that are worth your time, honestly. Miami's Baddest Man, every year it's a great show. Both I can attest to competing in and to watch. Florida's Strongest is always a good show to watch. No stupid bullshit happens there with equipment failures. And the Summer Scorcher, which is a new show that came out. It usually happens sometime in August. I believe he had his second one last year. A lot of people saying a lot of good things. I saw some video footage from it. It looked like it was at least decently put on. People said it didn't go too long, from some people that I actually trust. Can't 100% say that one, but that is the one I will be competing in this year, assuming they have it again this year. I will be competing in that one, as well as Florida's Strongest Man this year, which happens in December. I'm using the Scorcher as a tune-up because it's a lighter show. I mean, honestly, it is just a lighter show, and I'd like something just as a tune-up to remind me what competition feels like, being in the heat and, out there all day and, having to figure out how to eat in between events, and how long do I rest, where do I warm up, how do I warm up, yada, 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 yada. Long story short, it should be a great time. I will most likely do a video based on some of the cool information I get from that seminar tomorrow. I've had an exhaustive week at work. Legitimately thought about calling in on Thursday and Friday because of how stressful how stressful Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were. But sucked it up, got through it, and honestly, it just got progressively better as time went on, just like most things. So the message for this week is, yes, sometimes shit sucks right now. Sometimes it sucks for more than a day. Sometimes every day it just keeps getting piled on higher and higher and higher, and you can't even imagine it getting much worse, and then all of a sudden it does, and you're stressed, and it doesn't fucking matter. Don't be a pussy. Get over it. Things change. Everything changes all the time. This too shall pass. And if you don't understand what that means, then what's your excuse?